Excellent. Look at that. Everything just explodes. Well, I thought I would get rid of the intro because I want to update that intro because it does kind of like bother me. But I thank you very much for being here, everyone. My name is Chris Robert. I'm the host of On Stage Podcast, which I enjoy so much talking to amazing people, musicians. Um, I love how I like to interact with people and become friends with them in the end. And possibly one day we'll probably sing together, see them on the street. Some of them might say, "Who the hell are you?" Excuse me. But we have a special guest. His name is Sean Paul Rogers. Remember, there's only two Sean Pauls in the world. We know Sean Paul's a rapper, and then Paul Rogers, who's a singer. And this Sean Paul Rogers is better than the two of them. And we're going to introduce him right now. Let's bring him in, and we're going to get the roll out the carpet for him. And here is Sean Paul
Of
Rogers.
her, no spirit within me,
Sean Paul.
no hope left
Sean Paul.
within me.
Hello.
No, I
Hey.
should have loved her
Hey,
and
hello.
make her love
Sean
me.
Paul. Hello. It's me.
Oh,
You're on borrowed time here. Remember the Queen
what
song?
time?
Got time. Remember?
Really? Oh, well,
Oh, this is funny. I'm so glad we planned this. Everyone, just a joke. But Sean Paul Rogers,
Yeah.
excellent musician, and we saw him by his voice, and we know we have the right guy.
Yeah, I guess so. I hope. There's only two, so
April Willis says, "Hello, Sean Paul Rogers."
you know what? I'm gonna have to wear my glasses for this.
Yeah.
Hello. Let's see who we did it. Let me just click.
Sean Paul Rogers. And
Yeah.
April Willis says hello.
Yeah, so literally, like, if I ever have to get a username, it's always available every time. And if it's not available, it means I already signed up and I just forgot. That's all.
Hey, Sean Paul, thank you very much for being on the On Stage podcast. We're so happy that you're here, and we really love that studio. In
Oh,
fact,
thanks.
if you notice back in the kitchen, it's dark now. You notice the door open. That leads to my storage unit, and that's where I want to have the actual recording studio. So
Yeah, no, that's actually a good place to have it.
before we get into this heavy, deep conversation, which has no stops, can you give us a little bit of background of who you are and why you are where you are now, stuck in this booth?
Well,
Studio.
well, what do you want, the long version or the short version? I mean,
Yes.
how I got into this. I mean, I literally can go back to the beginning, which because I grew up in Vail, Arizona, or I say Tucson because people know that Tucson. So I grew up with raising pigs, goats. I was in 4-H. I don't know if you have 4-H or you know what that is, but when I was 9 years old, my parents asked me if I wanted to play baseball. They didn't ask me, "You want to take ballet?" So I kind of got into it literally by accident because I was in 4-H and there was this girl who was telling me that she made $50 walking down a runway. She was modeling, and I was like, $50, sure, I'll do that. So I come home and I at 12 and want to be a model. That's all I said to my mom. And so then they signed me up for modeling classes. And then what happened is I was on a motorcycle and I got hit by a truck. And what happened is when I got hit by the truck, it broke my arm. Luckily I was, nothing major, but it forced me, I couldn't make the modeling class, right? So because I couldn't make it, they offered me a TV commercial class. And I was like,
Wow.
TV commercials, I'm like, you can do TV commercials. That sounds cool. So then I took this TV commercial, like Pepsi, the choice of the new generation, that kind of stuff. And then because of that, I was only thinking TV commercials. That's all I was thinking. That's the part. So when it got to high school, I went, you know what? I think I should take drama because that would help with TV commercials. Right. So then I started taking drama in high school. And that's when I first started, knowing about plays. I didn't go to theater or any of that growing up. And so then they did our first musical. And I remember doing the musical and I liked the singing. I was like, oh, this is kind of fun, And so that was when I did my first musical. And that's when I decided, oh, well, this will help for commercials still. That's how I was still thinking. But then I really started loving the singing. I started joining choir. And then I got into this teenage, it's called Center Stage USA. What they do is teenagers get together, they do a show and they go around the United States for 3 weeks. So I did that. And when I was there, there were guys that were dancing. I'm like, dancing? Oh, there's dancing involved. Like I didn't know any of this. So I started. That was when I first started like doing some dance, and wasn't very good at it. But all the guys told me, as a guy, we said you don't have to pay for dance class. Just go to your studio and they'll give it to you free. So that's what I did. And then I started taking tap, jazz, and ballet, because remember, now I'm into wanting to do musicals. And I got into my first like what I'm gonna call it a professional show. I mean, because they used some equity actors, and I was 17, and that was a big deal for me. And that's when I first saw like real dancers, and
Wow.
yeah. And then I remember I went to a West Side Story audition because I was doing tap, jazz, and ballet. They asked me to do a double pirouette to the right and double left, and I failed. And I was so bummed. I said that's never going to happen again. So I dropped all my tap and jazz and went ballet, 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 ballet. And then I was getting good at ballet, but I was behind because I was 17 starting, right? And so I started taking literally with 12-year-old girls. That's how, literally, because it
Wow.
wasn't because I had to catch up. And I ended up, funny thing is I only went to 3 years of high school. So something I probably didn't mention is I don't have a high school diploma. I have a bachelor's degree, but I don't have a high school diploma. And that's a long story, because what happened is I didn't go to my last year of high school. And a lot of people don't know this. You can, as long as you can read past the 12th grade level, you can go to community college. But they're not going to tell you that, because they would lose you as, the money for. So I went to college, and they told my mother the wrong information. They said, right. And so what ended up happening is I was a half credit short in 2 subjects. So I ended up being a half credit short in English and history, which sucked, because I ended up auditioning for AMDA, and I got in, but didn't get in because I didn't. What do you have to have? You have to have a high school diploma to get in. So that kind of bummed me out. But now that I was in college, I didn't know what I was doing, really. I didn't know what I was doing. So I just kept taking college. When I finally met my voice teacher in Arizona, he just finished his doctor's, and he was getting a job in Colorado, and he said I should come to this school in Colorado. Well, when it was called Mesa State College. They had a musical theater program, and so when I did that, you only need 30 credits of transfer credits to go to college. So by then I had that much, and so I started doing musicals. But I was doing dance, and back then, I was athletic, and I was just. I had the right body type for ballet, and that's why I ended up going getting scholarships. What ended up happening is I ended up going. I mean, I really trained hard. Meaning, when everyone else went away for the summer after school, I went and trained at a ballet school or trained at performing arts. I went to Steamboat Springs, Colorado, to do a performing arts, where I met. I don't know if you know who Jason Reyes is, but anyway, he was the original Simba on Broadway. That's where I remember meeting him, and you knew he was going to be a star. But I always did that, and in the ballet, because I was a guy, never had to pay for classes. then as I'm doing the musical theater, it's so funny. I got a scholarship for my musical theater, and I remember one semester, I said no to the musicals, which you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to say no, but I was really bombed out, and I had a lot of credits to take, and I said I can't do the musical. And it's funny, because then like that year they gave me more money. It's kind of like, how's that work? It's like, I didn't do your show and you're giving me more money. Okay. But when I went to ballet school, now I went into ballet school in Connecticut. I got accepted into the program, and now I had a choice. They offered me to stay in ballet in Connecticut, and I only had 1 semester left to finish my degree. So I was kind of like,
Wow.
you know what? I went to finish my degree. But then I applied and got into Oklahoma University for a ballet program. Okay. So I was going in that direction, about ready to, go to ballet school in Oklahoma. And that, of course, what did I do? Oh, Christmas break, I decided pack up my bags and go to LA to be an actor. So that's what I did. And then from there, did 6 years there. And I realized that I probably should have come to New York first, because, the most of the work I was getting was kind of like, musicals. I remember doing, dinner theater for like $135 a week. I mean, that's how it was. But
That's not bad. Actually,
yeah,
Your story reminded me of Rudolf Nureyev. Remember
He
him?
started, yeah, he started
Yeah,
late too, actually.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
my mother and I used to like his dancing, but yeah, the plie is the most
Hmm.
that I had a girlfriend. She was a ballerina, and she'd always walk on her tippy toes. And I asked her, "What's wrong with your feet?" She said, "Nothing. I've been a ballerina, and I've always been a ballerina." And
Yeah.
do 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 do
It's
do
a,
do. You know,
and that's the thing. If it's a tough life, like, and I was never going to be as good as like Barishnikov. That was it's kind of,
Barishnikov.
it's like you look at like,
Wow.
do I want to? It was kind of came down. Do I really want to really study to become
Yep.
not really, but I could do other things though. See, it wasn't like ballet was dead. I could sing and dance or act, and so that's, I mean, I got my last semester of college. I got to play. I joke that I played two nymphs. I played Puck in Midsummer's, and I played Peter Pan, which normally Peter Pan's played by a woman. So that was an opportunity. They
Mary
changed.
Martin is
Yeah,
famous.
right. Yep.
That's
I
J.R. Ewing's mom, actually.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's true. That's right. Yeah. So I did that my last semester, which was good, and I did like uh, what do you call it? Like senior recitals where I also choreographed too. So I really did do all three. And that's you know
What what was your very first ballet performance and what was your first acting experience?
well, I mean, if we're talking like for ballet, it was more like at the in the studio, like
Swan
on a
Lake?
no Sleeping Beauty. I think it was
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I didn't, to be honest, I didn't really do a lot of full ballets. I didn't, like here's the funny thing. I never even did the Nutcracker, which how do you go through that and not do the Nutcracker? I don't know
I
how it
know.
happened, but um, it was, I went to Torrington. It was called the Nutmeg Ballet. It's in
Hmm.
Connecticut, and that was the first time I went to a ballet school where it's like they taught the Vaganova system, which is Russian. You were 8 in the morning to 5 at night, and that was the real deal. It wasn't like just going to a couple classes at night. And you definitely, like, when I came back to college, all my teachers said, "Wow, you you improved so much," and that's because, well, you're doing 8 hours a day.
That's awesome.
You get better at it. But so I always tell people, you gotta put the time in. That's what people don't really understand, I think, sometimes.
So you do ballet, you did acting,
Mhm.
and now you're doing singing.
Yeah,
Um, what
and
makes you?
I'm getting into voiceover work too.
Yes,
That's
voiceover
yeah,
work.
yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
That's yeah. What I love about voiceover work is that, and is that it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what size you are. That's what I like about it. I can be anybody, really. Whereas you're limited to what roles you can play in acting. It's just true, but in voiceover work, it can be anything, which is why I have a little bit of an opinion on the whole idea of like, um, you know, giving up jobs for certain, people when it's like now you just made it about race and it didn't need to be about that. That was the whole point, is everyone was equal when you in voiceover work. But whatever, it happens.
Excellent. You should do a lot of more voice acts on Smule.
Yeah, well, that's it. Smule changed. I would say Smule really changed a lot. I mean, I quit so my last thing was like Greece in 2003, and that's actually an interesting story because I had a bad audition experience.
Ooh.
Yeah, and but here's what I learned from it. So I went to I'm not going to say who it was. So I went in for a Grease audition at it wasn't Broadway, but it was a big place, right? And I went into the audition, I was going in for Kaniki. I probably wore like tank top. I went in and I sang "The Girl Gets Around" from Footloose, and I had a manager at the time too. So, and the manager, I sang, I come out, and I'm pretty honest about what I think. I was like, okay, that was not bad. I mean, listen, every audition can be better, but it wasn't like I felt like, oh man. I was like, okay. I then get a call like an hour later from my manager. She said, casting director said you were horrible, a mess, and she didn't
Oh,
appreciate your attitude.
oh my
Now,
goodness.
here's
That's
the thing.
rude.
I know, but here's the thing. I kind of was like, I was like, well, first of all, did she know I was going in for Kaniki? Just so you know, because if you're gonna say I have attitude, like what attitude? What are you talking about? But that's who you should be hiring. But then I was kind of like, here's my problem. My problem is this. I felt totally the opposite. So that was my concern. My concern was like, have I been this whole time delusioned that I've been thinking all the times I went like, yeah, okay, I do okay, and then now I've been like, so I was like, that's what bothered me. If I would have done bad and I thought I'd done bad, then I'd been like, oh, okay, I agree. But it was that I came out completely the opposite of that. Horrible, a mess. Did appreciate my attitude. I'm like, what attitude? You know, but my point is, it's like, that's rough. Now, the only thing that saved me from, going crazy off of this, because, actors, we're sensitive to all this stuff, was a month later. Now, most people would probably change up their whole thing. I went to another Grease audition. And most people would be like, oh, can't be like last time. I better do something different. I did the opposite and said, no, I'm going to duplicate this audition. So I wore the same outfit. I sang the same song. I came in with what I think was the same attitude. I did everything like a duplicate audition. And I sang and I got thank you. And I kind of was like, oh, man, But as I'm walking out, all of a sudden the door runs open and the casting director comes running down, because this is for European tour of Greece. And they're like, when can you leave? That was every time we see her, such an amazing job. And I'm like, thank God, because there was so what I'm trying to tell people is there's two different people had two majorly different opinions. And that's why you just never know. It's like, maybe I didn't say hi to the casting director and she thought maybe I reminded her of her ex-boyfriend she didn't like. I don't know. My point is, luckily I was able to kind of prove to myself by going to another. But imagine if I would have not gone to the audition, I would have always kind of maybe believed that. But what's funny is I ended up not getting Grease. No, I did get it. But funny thing is, it comes to 2 months later, I get the call and they call me to come out to the tour as an understudy for Kaniki. But the funny thing is, I found out that the reason I got picked too is this dance captain had 3 resumes. They gave him 3 resumes. Pick one, 2, and he came across mine. He said, "Get Sean out here." My point was, he was somebody I worked with 7 years ago. 7 years ago, I worked with him in Chorus Line. He was, and my point to this kind of is, he was younger than me. And what if I would have been like, I don't know, just not professional or nice, or maybe whatever. My point is you don't know who's going to be where they're going to be. Like, so now I would have never known, like if he hadn't chosen me, I would have never known. But my point is when he told me the story that he saw my resume and he's the reason I came out there, I realized, well, good thing I was professional at the time 7 years ago. I mean, because a lot of people I think don't get that. Even it was just, I think we were talking about like in personal lives too. It's like, people sometimes don't run their personal lives the way they run professionals. They should, because at the end of the day, I heard producers tell me, if we have 2 people and they're both equal, we want to pick the one we want to hang out with.
Yeah, that's true. I played Jacob Marley in a stage production in my it wasn't high school, it was public school, of the Christmas Carol during Christmas. And my dad took the morning off to see his young son playing a play because, he was an excellent father and loved him very much. And but I kind of disappointed him because when it was my time to start speaking, the cue cards fell out of my hand. And I'm like, oh my God. And then later he said, you were the best one in the play. I laughed so hard. I'm like, okay, I'm like 9 years old. Am I supposed to think that was a compliment? Or
well, you might not. It's because you're being authentic.
But
probably.
I haven't actually acted except on Small in front of a live audience. Pardon the Mary Tyler Moore pun there. But
did you enjoy it? I mean,
I actually wish, like, my family members, everyone, but like I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and 2 of them were never extras in films, and my older brother was in like 45 films, but as an extra, but he's really good. Yeah. And I really wish I had thrown my hat in the ring and said, you know what, I want to be an actor and put my face out there.
But as cool as you could still do it now. That's what's great.
I know, but now I got a podcast, which is growing, and that's one step.
Maybe the podcast will put you into acting. You never know, right?
You never know. And actually, I just got a compliment the other day, and he's like a famous actor. Just emailed me and said, I was watching your podcast,
Mhm.
and they're amazing. Keep it up. And I'm like, really? I looked them up, and I'm
That's
like,
good.
oh my God, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm jumping up for joy.
Well,
But
that's the thing about the technology today is we have access to, before celebrities, for example, were kind of, we had no access to it. Now
yeah,
it's like, you never know. You never know. Steven Spielberg could be watching you. You just don't know.
hi, Stephen.
Yeah, how's Steven? And he's like, I'm looking for somebody to play that. Yeah, let me get
Hi,
it.
Lucy. I
Yeah.
hope you're watching. Hi, Ellen. I hope you're
Yep.
watching. Also, yeah, and then, well, another question I want to ask you.
Mhm.
Not another question. A question I want to ask you. Did you play any instruments in high school?
Okay, fifth grade I played, not in high school. Fifth grade I played the saxophone, and then just choir and yeah, just voice and now I wish I would have. I took some piano. I had a really good piano teacher, actually, one of these guys that's virtuoso. But I took about a semester of that, and that's about it. I do know some musical theory. I just literally bought a guitar literally like a week ago or something. Where I'm
Seriously, wow.
yeah, because you know what, I look at it, it doesn't matter what age. I just want to be able to strum, and I'm also starting to get one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm going to be I'm getting certified through the New York Vocal Coaching Academy as for a teacher. So it would help to become a voice teacher. It would be help to be able to, like, I don't know, play at
Oh
least strum the
yes.
guitar and
Well,
so.
watch my podcast I had with Ken Levine, who used to be a member of the Canadian Tenors before he left,
Oh wow,
and he's got a YouTube channel called Ken Levine. It's a reacts, like he reacts to videos,
two videos,
and
right.
he's a vocal coach, and he came up with some excellent things, some great quotes, great ideas to how to improve my voice. And my vocal coach,
Mhm.
Roberta, she was really good. I had her for like 5 years, and now because of the situation that we're in now, I want to get out there and start getting vocal lessons again,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
maybe go out there and perform. Like, I'm not saying that when I'm 80, 85 years old, I'm going to be performing on stage. I'm just saying that you're saying I'm not too old. That's good.
no, I
But
mean,
I'm not,
right.
like, I want to take vocal lessons, and I want to start
I
my,
still take vocal lessons. This is what people don't kind of understand sometimes. Everyone thinks that, yeah, sure, there's the person who comes out of the womb already like singing awesome. But even, you know who like Dimash is, right? Dimash. Do you know who that
Dimash.
is? Dimash.
No.
You don't know who that is? Oh, probably the world's best singer in the world, honestly. Literally, he's considered that. Dimash. He's probably 28 years old. Look him up. But even
Okay,
him, someone like,
he's a famous singer. I never heard of
yeah,
him. I'm
he's
mostly
famous well, he's
I know a
not
lot
in
of tenors
America.
and sopranos, but I'm learning a lot of new ones these days.
Yeah, I went to his concert, his first one. He has a like a 6-octave range. He has the most perfect
A
voice there
6,
is.
oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
Is he an
Anyway,
F5 as well?
he's way up there. Like
Because only a few people can do an F5.
oh,
That's like
he can
Mariah
go. I
Carey.
mean, he does
That's
whistles.
Christine Denée from
Yeah,
Phantom of the
he does
Opera.
that.
That's
Yeah,
an
she does that.
F5. That's
Oh, he does.
wow.
Oh, he does. I think,
I'll
yeah.
do the Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
He's a
Cowbell.
performer too.
Wow.
He's a dancer, tap dancer. You know that?
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I was saying is even like somebody like Dimash. I mean, you look at, yeah, he had to put a lot of years in. So a lot of times people don't understand how long it takes. Like I look at, like, for example, I sing Bring Him Home, right?
Yeah.
And I finally got that in my 40s. It's like when you know what I'm saying? It was like, that's how long it took singing kind of for me, one song to get it right. Some songs take a long time. And what I've learned, well, a couple of things. I used to actually judge what do you call it, dance competitions.
Wow.
5 to 18 years old, you go in there, and one of the things I learned about judging, I probably learned more about dance being a judge because I finally understood a little bit more what my teachers were telling me, because you say, So this is what I find interesting about voice. Same thing. They say if you want to master something, to teach it, right? And it's true, because sometimes when I have one person that I was kind of helping with, coach, and and she would do things that I'd be like, that's what my teachers meant. Oh, it's doing that thing that I used to do. Like I'm hearing it, and so that's what I find interesting because I want to be able to, because I believe everyone can sing. Everyone can actually sing. Oh, I'm tone deaf, but you actually can, believe it or not, you can actually learn it. It may take longer for you, that's fine. But I've seen singers who were like okay singers. 10 years later, they're like just amazing. So my point is anyone can, just because you weren't, you know, 16 years old in high school with a great voice, let's say, doesn't mean you can learn. And I think most people who say they can't sing, it's because somebody told them once when they were a kid, oh, stop singing, something that they believed it. Because as long as you have vocal cords, you can learn.
I was dating a girl, and she was in a choir,
Hmm.
and she used to sing to me in the cafe and everything. And one day she caught me singing, and she said, "Don't give up your day job."
Yeah, see, and a little
I didn't
comment like that.
sing. I didn't sing for 10 years after that.
Yeah, isn't that
And then when
weird?
I met this other girl that I eventually married at the one time,
Mhm.
she played the flute. She was a flautist, beautiful
Mhm.
flautist, and I did duets with her. So I never thought you could sing with a flute, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
and she got my confidence. I started wanting to sing again.
yeah, absolutely.
So I took vocal lessons, which I intend to take again. And I don't know if I told you, but my Mount, you know what a Mount Everest song is? I keep
Uh,
saying,
is that like a really difficult song kind of thing,
yeah,
or what? Yeah,
Nessun Dorma is
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah, I mean,
You know that one.
yeah, I mean, I've tried it. That's a
Yeah.
tough one too.
If I can ever
Yeah,
learn to sing that properly, like
yeah,
I have a whole bunch of people who's
yeah.
teaching me how to. So you know,
So, have you taken voice lessons before,
I
or
have
yeah,
taken voice
yeah?
lessons with a couple of vocal
Which is
coaches.
okay. So, I look at vocal coaching a little different than voice lessons. So, vocal
Oh,
coaching
vocal.
is a
Oh,
little
I
bit
see
more
what you
like
mean. Vocal
voice
lessons.
is
5
more
years of
like
vocal
how to
lessons.
create
Yeah.
the sounds per se, and
I haven't
exercises.
taken voice lessons, but I've taken
Mhm.
vocal training
Yeah,
actually
coaching. Yeah,
5 years, and I
yeah.
sang songs during a recital, and I had family members there, and I'm like, no, like if when you're singing in front of people, if you know that
It's different. It's
if
different.
you have
It's
family
different.
members in the audience,
Mhm.
you want to perform better.
Yeah.
So I did.
I actually get more nervous though when
Yeah.
I know people. If I don't know them, they're strangers, and I can kind of,
That's
you know,
that's that's a good thing. Yeah. Like I
yeah,
don't want if I ever do Nesundor
yeah,
Nesundorma
yeah, yep. And
and
it's different. It is different. I like sometimes
I
like
don't want anybody to know in my family that I'm actually out there singing
actually that I
Nesundorma.
prefer not to know. Like if somebody, a friend of mine, wanted to come to the show, I was like, just don't tell me. Just I don't want to know because it's listen, singing in front of people is different. So sometimes I'm on Smule or whatever, and it's you know, it's easier because if I mess up, I can just start over. But then what I did is I graduated and I started doing, there's another one, Star Maker Studio. They had more of a karaoke thing where you could kind of
Oh,
like sit
Star
there.
Maker, yeah.
Yeah, they're not the greatest at all, but you can sit it. But
Or
then
Sing Snap is another one you should avoid.
yeah. Oh, is it? Is it Void? Because there's another one called Mix It too as
I know
well.
a few people who left Sing Snap and went to Smule. Donna
Now,
says that Nessun Dorma is listed as one of the most difficult songs to sing.
yeah, imagine, yeah, I believe that.
I believe it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is that, do you like classical the most, or is it like
I do like classical. I also have, like I told you, genres that I like. I like some jazz. I like pop if it's a good song.
mhm,
I like regular rock.
mhm.
I listen mostly to classical. Like I have a list of my favorite classical songs,
Mhm.
and I prefer listening to just a lot of piano and
Mm,
violins, and sometimes I do have lists for, let's say I'm cleaning my apartment, I would have the apartment list. If I'm
mhm.
taking a walk, I'd have songs associated with walking.
Yeah, I was like that. Yeah.
Um, so I don't know
Do
if
you
you do
now
that.
do you sing along with it, or do you?
If I know a song, I'll sing along with it actually. And basically, I would like to stand out there and start singing songs
Mhm,
and start getting a repertoire
mhm.
and know them off by heart instead of just
I call it living with the song. So,
living with a
what?
song.
Yeah, because listen, if you give me a song I don't know at all, and you just tell me to start singing, I'm not going to sound good at all. I mean, it's just but living with a song takes time where you're living, where you just know it becomes so automatic. It becomes so ingrained that you don't even have to think about it, because uh, the thing that I think is most important as far as technically singing is really your musicality and pitch, honestly. So most people who say they can't sing, or someone sounds bad, it's like, it's not that their vocal cords could make a great sound. It's just off pitch. So therefore you think it sounds bad. So I always try, that's another reason I tell people, hey, just because you might be off pitch, you can correct that.
So
But
what would you say are your strengths do you need to have that makes a great musician? Like, what do you think would
well
be the strengths that you need?
okay, honestly, for singing, musicality and pitch. And I didn't even really understand musicality as much as now I really understand it more. Meaning, musicality is honestly just being on the beat, essentially, and being able to, if you come in on a note and underneath the music, let's say it hasn't transitioned to the next chord, well, you're not flat, even though that might be the right note in about half a second. You know what I'm saying? In a half a second, if you would so that's the musicality part. But practice, 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 practice. My voice teacher used to tell me, I'm tired. He's like, you can rest when you're 6 feet under, he would say. So
Yeah, I
that's,
believe that.
yeah. And it's true. Practice. It really is. I can't stress it enough. I really can't, actually. It's because guess what happens when you practice, practice, practice? You get better.
Become better.
Yeah. And that's where it gets fun. I think a lot of times what happens is people kind of maybe give up a little bit too early, but it's just nice to, and here's what I love about Smule. See, if I would have had Smule back when I was doing it, it would changed everything. I think because before it's like, how often could I actually listen to myself? There was maybe in a voice lesson, you plus, they record your voice lesson, or maybe a videotape of a show you did, or you went into the mall to do one of those vocal record. But when else would you actually hear yourself sing? And so to be able to hear yourself sing also in real time, you can coach yourself in a lot of ways. You can hear, even you can hear things you don't like and you can change it. That's something that, and practice. So there was a time where, so there'd be auditions that I didn't really care about. Like, I don't care. So you know what I do? I use them to practice. Let me go to this audition. I don't care if I get it. So I'm going to take a song that maybe I'm not familiar with. Because listen, how did you learn a song back then? You had to hire a piano player. You'd have to have them play it on it, record it. It wasn't like you could background. There were no background tapes. Your
garage band.
Yeah, so that's how you had to do it, and I think being able to sing, I probably sung more since Smule, as far as actual time, because of Smule, because it's been very good to I love the fan cast. So I've done a lot of full musicals as they call them fan casts or whatever. So roles that I'll never, I'm not going to play Mark and Ren anymore, but I can on a Smule kind of, I call them smusicals, but stuff like that.
It's okay. So let's ask you this reverse question though. Okay. Do you have any weaknesses that you're actively working to improve on besides being a ballerina?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Just joking.
Which has been. Oh my gosh! No. What's funny?
Can you do the plie while you're answering this question? No, just
like this. I could do it.
Just
it's funny because you look. I have pictures of me when I was younger, and it's like, I could have my leg way up here. I'm like, that to me seems like so foreign.
Well, a lot of Irish dancing. I've been learning Irish dancing, and you can put your leg up. And you ever seen the Irish dancing? You're doing this, and you put your leg up.
Lord of
Oh my goodness! What's a little bit of shuffling? If you know how to shuffle and how to do a plie, then you can do the Irish dance. That's what I figured.
The Irish they call it the Irish jig or something like that. But
and yeah.
Lord of the Dance, basically.
Yes. Hot dogs.
Weakest points. Here's the thing. Even to this day, I still take lessons. I take with Ken Tamplin. I took with him. I took his course, and and I took with him because he has a rock sound. So for me, like in my opinion, I always think this is how I feel. Women should take from women, men should take from men. That's just how I feel about it because I've taken from women. It has nothing to do with what they know. It's just I am somebody who imitates, or I need to. In other words, I need to hear the person do the sound. You know?
yeah.
And it just helps. And if you're a baritone, if you can find a baritone,
Oh yeah.
then you should find one. That's all I say.
Baritone, yes, I know.
Yeah. So
I can ask these questions at a baritone if you want.
Very right. Yeah. Now you're right.
Okay, go ahead. Finish your answer.
So what was going on? Weaknesses.
Yes.
So I still study, and there are times where I get stuck on stuff that I'm just like, it gets frustrating. Sometimes there'll be moments where I'll feel like I gotten worse. So I tell people this because sometimes when I see people, maybe they feel like they're not, something. I said, listen, it happens. You feel like maybe you're getting worse, but the trick is just not to give up, and yeah, just practice and just, we're so lucky that we have like YouTube, and get from a whole bunch of, I do a lot. Like I said, Justin Stoney, I don't know if you know, he's part of the New York Vocal. Okay, so
all these people I don't even know.
But anyway, he's popular as far as
I can just make up a name. So Justin
Smith.
Be like, he's a world famous actor.
I can't believe you don't know the Damage. Come on, no. But like I take from different people and different find what works for you. I don't think it doesn't have to be just one person. I mean, if anything, if I could change one thing about my training, maybe I was taught classical, but we're talking, which is fine. But however, I was into things like Jesus Christ Superstar, and and my teacher didn't really do that kind of singing, is all I'm saying. And though I do think having a classical bass is best. It's best to have that classical bass, but you do need to get into, like, there are teachers, they would never teach this back when I was in it, where you start learning how to do distortion and how to, there's a healthy way to do screaming and stuff like that,
Wow.
Yeah. So,
people have said that I was a better villain when I'm still doing the voice acts in Small. They said I make a really good villain, and that kind of worried me because I did.
That's the best parts are villains.
Well, it's not going to be good for my dating life. I said, hey, I will use
what are you talking
villain.
about? Villains? They always want the bad boy. What are you talking about?
Well, as I was telling someone that there's the Suicide Squad scene on Small, and you can be the Jared Leto version of Joker.
Oh.
And someone else will do the Harley Quinn, right? But I didn't like the Jared Leto Joker,
version. Right?
So
everyone
seems
like
I did the Heath Ledger Joker in that one because it was better. I don't like the Jared Leto version.
So you do a lot of scenes on
I
Small?
do. I got a lot of scenes. Yeah.
I noticed there's a lot of. I haven't really done any.
I'm going to do a lot. I'm going to post some on my YouTube channel, but there's a lot of Small. I have actually. If you do a hashtag Pure Stage, and this YouTube channel was actually called Pure Stage Podcast, but my friend said against that you should change it, so I did. But
I was just curious the reason.
If you go in Small and type in the Parish Torch and then Pure Stage, you'll get all my acting.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's good. Because one of the things that I did one of the reasons I got a lot of followers is because I started in 2015, and there weren't as many musical theater things on there, and back then, okay, so I don't know, when did you start joining Smule? Do you know?
Oh, June of 2015.
Oh, same year as I did. You remember back in the day where you couldn't even actually go backwards? It was like there was a time where you couldn't actually go backwards.
I think Smule was better in 2016, 2017. And when they started changing a year or two ago, I just hated it. The filters, and sorry, people who were in Smule, who work in Smule. I didn't mean it that way.
But you know what? You know why they do the filters? More people will be on video that way.
I know,
but that's why they do it.
When you do a song, you set the video and the audio and everything you want. When you open up a second song, you have to redo it over. It doesn't save it.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, and so I've tried to get things implemented with me. One of the things, so I use BandLab. If you ever want to, BandLab's more for kind of professional musicians. But what BandLab does is you're able to use, your mobile, whatever, but your vocal tracks are separated.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, right. But the reason why it's not a karaoke kind of app is because you have to, you can have the lyrics, but it's not like lyrics you follow.
And if you don't sound good, you can always use auto-tune, right? Just like
you can do that with anybody.
Yeah. Just joking.
But no, I mean,
I'm making fun of you, but that's okay.
I know,
We're friends, so we're good. We're good.
Sometimes I use auto-tune for effect, especially if I don't know the song. I'll be like, okay.
Well, actually, if you get a chance to see Grace Slick's version of White Rabbit with the music removed, and in those days didn't have auto-tune, it's incredible the way she sounded. They're saying that Britney Spears used a lot of auto-tune, but they proved it. I don't think Taylor Swift uses auto-tune, but don't use auto-tune because it's
the thing with pop music, though. Pop music, here's why I love musical theater music. There's a reason.
Yeah.
Musical theater music, like I always look at it this way: Pavarotti will never sound like Bon Jovi, right? But to do musicals, you need to sound like Bon Jovi and Pavarotti. You need to sound like country. You need to sound you have to do every genre.
I know.
Yeah, right. So there's so much more you can do with. I like songs that tell stories and have emotions. Pop songs don't have emotions in them. They don't. I mean, if you look at them, pop songs don't have this big kind of archy kind of. It's kind of like starts here and it stays there, and it's fine. That's what pop songs are. It's just what they are.
I never liked Backstreet Boys or One Direction. My favorite
they're all the
band
same.
was Westlife, actually. I liked Westlife.
Okay. Well, this is why rock is a little bit kind of like, I like them a little more because they tend to tell a little bit more story. Bon Jovi, will tell a story. So I like songs that tell kind of a story where there could be emotion. I mean, you're not going to cry in a pop song. You're not going to cry, actually. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to be, like, So, but I'm just saying in a musical, it's,
Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by the Platters is the one that makes me cry, actually.
Well, I didn't say makes you cry. I didn't mean it makes you cry as far as listener. I meant as a singer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when's the last time you seen someone really? I mean, as far as the singer's concerned, not something that makes you cry, because that can happen easily.
Trying to think of his name. He's dead now, but the little cloud that could. What's his? Johnny. I can't remember. The Little Cloud That Could. He sang. That makes you cry.
Well, but I'm saying not you cry. I meant the singer. Like, does the singer cry?
Yeah, actually, I've seen some singers cry with a song,
that's fine.
But it didn't make me cry though.
No, that's fine. I'm not. So what I mean by that is, as the actor, as the performer, there's more emotion in the performance, not the emotion that you may feel something from a pop song. That's fine, but in musicals there's more of like I said, there's a story, there's a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah,
starts off here, gets there.
Yeah,
there's a build. There's no build in pop music. There's no build ever. It's just all the way across.
Yeah, I was reminded that the little cloud that I think it's a little cloud that anyway. Johnny Ray. Johnny Ray's his name.
Mm-hmm. Johnny Ray.
But someone here says that Queen was great.
I love Queen. I love
creating
Queen.
Rock opera.
Yeah. Yep. And that's why I kind of say rock has a little bit more of a place of like where they told stories more, Did you know I just like Bohemian Rhapsody? I just was 3 songs that he never finished and he put them together. He had written them a long time ago, 3 songs. And you know how like sometimes songwriters be like, they can't figure out how to finish the song, so they took.
I know. And I was just asking someone about Mozart's Unfinished Symphony, and I asked them, would it be possible to finish it today? And it's like, it's not going to be something you have you would have Mozart's Unfinished Symphony, and then.
Well, are you saying, is it possible? I mean, like doing it in the same style or staying kind of, I mean, I would think it would be, right?
Well, Prince has over 100 unpublished songs, and the Beatles have some more songs that haven't. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Sting sold.
You mean they have songs that have never been even recorded? Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow, so you could literally sing a Beatles song that's never been recorded.
No, but you could literally release a new Prince album 10 years from now.
But you mean because it's never been recorded at all, even with him.
There's a lot of bands and a lot of
Wow.
singers that record music that don't make it on an album, and then you just put it in the vault.
Yeah,
I got 4 songs I wrote when I was 22 with a friend of mine. I haven't even produced and released yet because it's an old acoustic guitar and the old TDK audio tapes. You get it at Kmart.
Are you going to ever do that and finish it, or just
Probably when I get this
And then-
really
and then-
amazing
and then-
recording
and then-
studio you have there.
All right, and then it'll make $1 billion, and you'll be like, "Oh, why did I do this earlier?"
I'll be like 98 years old. But yeah, but what makes you so passionate about music? Why?
Hmm. Well, for me, I don't. Well, think about this. Music is the international language, right? It really is. I mean, it's you don't really have to. You don't have to speak the same language or anything. It's I don't know. Music, I've always, one of the things I wanted to be an actor for. So there's different reasons people get into acting. So and I like some people, like I like drama more than like doing drama more than I like doing comedy. But so comedy is more of an instant gratification, right? Drama is not really as far as like what I mean is by like you're not, the audience laughing is kind of it's a high. You're like whereas drama, it's not that instant. So, but I would rather move somebody, and that's another thing we can talk about acting, because I went to the Atlantic Theater Company and about acting techniques, and I love David Mamet because he has him and William H. Macy did the Atlantic Theater program.
I know, yeah.
And they're in my opinion, everybody, they're one of the better ones. And the reason I say that is because they have a kind of a workable technique. And David Mamet, if you ever read a book called True and False, get it, read it. It's
Yeah, I know who David Mamet is.
He's a playwright, and he's
Yeah,
very
I mean, I know.
yeah. So, and he's very, he's more like how I think, very nuts and bolts of acting. Like, if you're wearing the crown on your head and saying the words of the King of France, it doesn't matter if he's having 2 cubes of sugar in his coffee. Meaning, because sometimes you get, what is it? It's like, no, say the words truthfully. The crown's on your head, they'll believe you. John Wayne would say, go 2/3 of the way of the emotion. Let the audience take the third. Which makes sense, because what happens is, like, another thing that people sometimes do in certain acting, especially for men, like when you're doing like a crying scene. Well, the reality is, when you cry, what do most people do when they cry? They actually try to what? Not cry.
They kind of move their
But they try to not cry. The emotion shouldn't be to just emote. Emotion, most people start off try not to cry in real life, right? You're like, they're trying to, and so a lot of times, especially more so in men. So sometimes what happens is you get people, when you see a scene, and if they're like showing too much of what you're supposed to feel. Whereas, how many times have you ever, like, as an audience member, you started crying, you were moved before the person actually got to the actual like emotion on stage, because you anticipated it, and you took it, he gave you a little bit, and then you took the rest of the way home.
Dude, well, a friend of mine and I went to see a stage version of The Glass Menagerie.
Yeah, how was that?
And that was very emotional. I didn't even know the actors or actresses.
Well, that's another thing with Laura, is a good Laura has to play. A lot of times, if they play shy, like, what do most shy people want to play? Real shy people, what do they don't want to be shy. And sometimes actresses will misplay that. You can't play shy. You have to play not wanting to be shy. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was saying, so whenever I see a really sad scene in a movie, or maybe a stupid thing I see on YouTube, which is a very hard to find video, I just happen to see it, or acts of kindness, and they record, and it makes me feel like sad. Like, for instance, a YouTube video, was a YouTube video or one of these shorts from TikTok, whatever,
Mhm.
showed up of this little girl who they filmed of her walking for the very first time when she's 4
Mhm.
years old because she was born with problem with her legs like Forrest Gump.
Mhm.
And that made me cry because you see her struggling, and here I'm struggling for certain things, and yet she's struggling to walk, and she's got a smile on her face. It's very inspiring. So I cried.
Yeah.
But when I see that scene from Notting Hill that I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy, that doesn't make me cry
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. So
It's the obscure things that make me.
so here's what's funny about theater acting, like a
Yeah.
play. To me, it's really the actors are it's the most challenging. Why? Because I even sometimes I'm so used to musicals that when I go to a play, I'm like, where's the music? And meaning in television and film, it's all about visual, and you have the music. I mean, a scene, the swelling up of the music as she takes a look at the person, that's all emotional, and they haven't even said anything yet. But in a play, it's just you and the other actors, and there's no like music to help, enrich the scene. So I always feel theater acting is the toughest. But yeah. Have you ever watched This Is Us? Is it This Is Us?
No, I don't really watch that
All right.
show.
Well, I cry on every episode.
Do
It
you
pisses
really?
me every episode, and it pisses me off because I'm like, every time I'm going, okay, I'm gonna get by with this one. Okay, I'm gonna get by.
Well,
It's the way they do it. It's so touching. You tear. I'm like, I get mad. I'm like, damn, it got me again.
when I feel that I can't cry or that
Mhm.
that I don't want people to think I'm callous when they tell me that such and such passed away, and I'm like, oh, okay, so when's lunch? I'm currently watching a Jennifer Love Hewitt show called Ghost Whisperer, which I used to watch before,
Yeah.
and some of the scenes and some of the episodes that really make me tear up and almost go like cry like this, I would save. So if I need to cry, I would
It's an outlet for you. Yeah.
I would watch the episode again. I know it's kind of
Yeah.
kind of
That's
stupid,
cool.
but I feel like why I heard this terrible news about somebody who's like when a guy that I know, and I didn't really know him, but when I heard his sister died,
Uh-huh.
I felt like I'm with you, brother. Like I was crying, seeing like my own
Mhm.
sister died. So, but there are some times when I hear, "Oh, my father died of
Yeah.
whatever." I'm
Well,
like, "Oh, I've been there. My father's passed away
it's
too." And
interesting we're talking about that because about an act as far as acting technique. I was thinking it's like
yeah,
so there's different acting techniques. So film, I look at film and television. It's much different than like in a play, for example. You start at the beginning and you have your journey and you go to the end.
mhm,
But in a play or in a movie, and I've seen some where it's like, okay, day one of shooting, your mom's died. We're going to do that scene first. All right. Now you haven't had any build up to it, and so you have to be able to, that's where it's techniques of what you call sense memory can work. Like, you imagine your dog dying and but that doesn't work on stage as much because they say if you start using those kind of sense memories of my dog dying, for example, eventually you get over it. you get over the and it no longer works. But for film and television, if it's the out of order sequence that I think is more difficult because it's true. It's like day one filming, we're doing the death scene, and then at the end of the shooting, we're doing the beginning. It's like, and that's what a good director needs to know.
yeah.
What level is the actor when they shoot certain scenes?
Well, I've heard them do crazy things where they say, "I want you to put emotion in your crying," and so they go up, then they slap the person.
Yeah.
But they do everything they can. And I remember I was trying to do one of these scenes on Smooth, but I wanted to really put my heart and soul in it. And I remembered I was actually tearing up and crying because my mother had been already gone 30 years.
So you were using a sense memory there, kind of, right?
Well, actually, I was used that day that she died July 19th. So it was July 19, 1993.
Mm-hmm.
So on July 19th, let's say 2018, I opened up this small act, which for you to cry. So I opened it immediately, and I used that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because the scene needed you to cry.
Right.
And you like if I'm an actor and they want me to cry, I either watch one episode of Ghost Whisperer, whatever, but I can't just suddenly cry.
Or if you're doing 8 shows a week, you wouldn't work after a while.
No,
You're doing
so
it right, yeah.
so you would have to think of something really sad.
Well, in a play, you're going to try to use what's really happening. You're going to try to you're trying to use what's really happening in the connection. It's a little bit more, I guess, organic maybe, because film. The thing about film is people don't realize, like, I've been at where we're going to shoot your side right now, okay, and tomorrow because we'll shoot the other side. It's like sometimes the actors, they'll have a stand-in, meaning you're acting with somebody that's not even in the movie. And that's when you can try to use those sense, remember, but it isn't going to work all the time because eventually you'll get over, whatever it is. But I don't know. It's I think, acting. Yeah, my whole thing about the acting technique is, like even Stanislavski, from what I've read, that a lot of it, he even went back and later kind of went back and said, it's bullshit, but that, because I remember when the studio was around, like the Marlon Brando era, and everyone was into that. And I'm not really into, listen, I call it the be a tree kind of teachers. Like, have you ever heard the song Nothing from Chorus Line? Nothing.
But my favorite song from that is
What I Did for Love.
Yeah, that's my favorite one there.
But in that scene, Nothing, though I know when she describes the teacher, feel, what does the ice cream feel like? Via, and it's like, I'm not into that, because I'm more of like, tell me what I need to say. Tell me, like Daniel Day-Lewis, for example, he'll go live in the forest and learn how to shoot a bow, and he'll live it. Where Atlantic Theater teaches, like, how about you just learn how to look like you know what you're doing?
Yes, like in G.I. Jane, Demi Moore. She actually spent time on a military camp. She did the boot camp, everything. Just she immersed herself in the part. And the same with Julia Roberts in one of her movies.
What about what's the old saying? Dustin Hoffman, A Marathon Man. You have Dustin Hoffman with the Laurence Olivier, and he was up all night. Dustin Hoffman to do the scene or whatever, because he had to be like strung out, and and Laurence Olivier say, "Hey, try acting, my boy, try acting," because
So, what do you think about them using non-disabled actors or actresses to play disabled parts? What do you think of that?
Well, I guess the question is what's the entire is it a scene where, okay, somebody's not paralyzed, for example, at the beginning of the movie, and then is that what we're talking about, kind of thing?
No, I'm talking about when Daniel Day-Lewis played that disabled. Remember the name of the movie? I can't.
Well, listen, the question is, this is what people don't understand, I think, a little bit about the business too. Like, there was this whole thing about, especially sometimes we get into, like, I think, who was it said, I'm not going to work until women are paid the same as the male, and these were stars too. And I was kind of like, listen, Hollywood's about money. If the woman is bringing in, she's going to get paid. It has nothing to do with it had to do with, well, this guy is, Tom Cruise brings in so much money. It had nothing to do, if the woman's not making as much as Tom, it's not because she's a woman, it's because she doesn't bring in the same. That's what it is. But people, Hollywood likes to kind of make it like, oh, someone was making a lot more money. I'm like, it's really, at the end of the day, what do you bring in? I mean, trust me, there's women who make a lot more money than other guys too. I mean, it goes both ways. But
Tom Cruise does his own stunts, and
I know
it saves him a bundle that they don't have to get like a body double for him.
But I imagine their insurances are huge, though. I mean, think about how much those movies are, and something happens where something happens.
I know, but what if he were to be killed on one of his?
That's what I'm saying. And it was a $200 million film, and he, did you ever hear him go off? Did you hear that video when he went off during COVID?
No, I missed that one.
Yeah, well, Tom Cruise, I met him, not met him. He's very, very serious, good actor. He's never, it's funny, he's never won, right, an Oscar, right? No, he hasn't won. He's been nominated, I think, once. But hey, let's talk. What did you think about the Will Smith thing? I just have to ask.
I was actually just thinking that. I was going to make a joke about Tom Cruise going up and slapping
what do you think about that?
Val Kilmer or something?
I mean,
I'm really thinking, I don't really like Well, I like Will Smith in some of his movies, but not
Mhm.
all of them. I never liked Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
All right, so have you watched Bel Air yet? It's
No, I
a
haven't, but
drama.
that
Of it.
slap, I saw the slap thing and with Chris Tucker, and I'm like, there's just stuff that you just go too far. Like
Yeah,
I thought the whole slap thing
mhm.
was set up, and apparently
It
it
look it
wasn't.
it wasn't,
It's,
but the reason why it
yeah.
looks that way is so if you get the Australian version, so there's that delay. That's why it seems all of a sudden like he's kind of laughing, and the next thing you know, he's like walking up. It seemed kind of weird because there was that 7 second delay. They pushed it, and
Yeah, he goes like, "Keep my wife's
yeah,
name out of your mouth," and he's like, and I'm
So,
like, "Why
so
would you do that? You're about to, maybe you haven't been nominated for an Oscar.
so what's
You'll
funny
win
is
one tonight, so why do that?"
if you watch Bel Air, which is the story of his life, basically,
Okay.
um, the character. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he did that. You think because that's what his character does in the Bel Air. He has tempers and he can't control some of his things. Blah blah blah. I personally think I know this might sound. I almost feel a little bit bad for Will Smith for this one reason. I truly think he was totally regrets it. I truly think he totally I think he probably was walking up there and at the same time in his head going, "What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing?" You know what I'm saying? Uh, he was probably the only actor in history to ever go like, "I hope I don't win. I hope I don't win. I hope I don't win." You know, when it came to Oscars, because he knew he was going to have to go up there. So that's when I say I feel bad. When I say I feel bad for him, I feel like I can only imagine uh, how embarrassed, how he's just I mean, he'll always be remembered. That's his first Oscar, and that's how it's going to be remembered. So that's what I mean by that. You know what he did to me though, what it represents. Okay, now I don't want to get too political, but to me, it represented what Hollywood kind of can be, which is, "Hi, I don't like what you're saying, so I'm going to shut you down." You know what I'm saying?
He didn't have to do that. He could just waited till after the
Right,
whole thing and approach
right,
Chris Tucker to
absolutely,
listen. You know?
absolutely. So it was like he represented though, kind of how what you know oh, you said something I don't like, so I'm going to shut you down. And that's kind of what, you know, Hollywood kind of does in general. So, I mean, he should have been arrested technically. I
Yeah.
mean, technically, I mean, you're not allowed to do that. Sends a bad message. Or I even said, well, what if it would have been a white guy who'd done it? What would have happened then?
Oh, it would have been a whole new issue.
Oh,
Yeah.
on issue.
Yeah.
Because, we could get it. Plus, everyone likes to make everything about race, especially Hollywood.
Or it
It's
was
like,
a woman.
oh,
That
yeah,
shot.
forget it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. You know, I mean, I understand. I didn't know about Chris Rock. He has that some disorder where he doesn't recognize danger or something. You know, he talks about it. So Chris Rock has some kind of thing where he doesn't recognize physical proximity. So that's
I
why
don't
his
know
hands.
about that, but I know that there's something if you look her up, Alicia Witt, and a
Oh,
few people have it, so they can't recognize faces. So
oh yeah, yeah. I know.
they would
I
meet
know.
you, but then they don't recognize. It's like you
Yeah.
just met me an hour ago, but yeah,
His
I
is he
never.
doesn't recognize danger. So like,
Why I didn't.
so that's why his hands are behind his back. Like people are like kind of going like,
I
why?
don't know anything
Yeah,
about that, but that's
yeah,
interesting disorder.
yeah.
So anyway, that
What I mean, what do you think Jada said is what I mean? I want to know what that conversation was like when she got home.
I
I
don't know.
mean, but,
It's been going around like this, the Ukraine war and
I have a friend from
people
Ukraine
dying of
that.
COVID, and yet people are worried
Mm,
about Will Smith going
yeah,
up to
I
Chris
know, I
Tucker and
know,
slapping them. It
I
might.
know.
Did I say Chris Tucker? I meant Chris Rock.
No, I
It
know,
might
I
as
know.
well have been
I
Chris
mean,
Tucker, but I mean,
yeah.
so but what? Let's get back to these celebrities. What do you think of Christopher Walken's acting?
I like it. I mean, let's face it. I mean, he's very unique. I mean, I mean, that's why people who do impressions of him are like, you know, he. Yeah, I like it too because he's a dancer too, kind of. So that's why I kind of like, I like it when I see people who kind of have that background and yeah, I think he was a tap dancer mostly, but
Yeah, that's why he did
yeah,
the Weapon of Choice
yeah.
for that what's his name? I can't remember his name. Sometimers.
But I still want to know what happened with the whole, Natalie Wood and, and what was it? Robert, was it Robert Bisham? Was it? Wait, no, Robert. Who was it? Natalie Wood and
Yeah, I know. You're talking
Yeah.
about Robert Wagner.
Wagner, sorry, yeah.
He's like almost 90 years old, and
Yeah.
actually they're thinking that he was the one that killed her. I know this.
Something, yeah.
There's a lot. There's like celebrity crime on YouTube all the time. I watch some of it about the Natalie Wood issue, the Black Dahlia
Yeah.
murders, all that, the JFK,
Yeah.
and the actor and actresses that that were there, and it's like it's people love that media stuff,
Yeah.
and when you got someone like Will Smith goes up to Chris Rock and slaps him, that's a big
Yeah.
whole issue. But
And
what
it
if
was so
what if he
surprising
went up
that
to
you
him
thought it was fake. That's what I did. At
what
first,
if
I thought it
he
was fake.
what if he went out with a gun and shot him? Would it be a totally different thing, or
Yeah.
But
And
what do
what's funny is that we don't see. We saw him laughing. That was weird. We saw him laughing, and then you look at Jada. Jada was just kind of over it. And here's the thing: I didn't know anything about it. I thought it was just I thought she was doing an actual G.I. Jane movie. I thought
well,
that was. I didn't know.
let's talk about something else.
All right,
It's
let's do it.
old
Let's
news.
go. Yeah.
Yes. So tell me what is your shoot happiness? Describe your least and favorite part about being a musician, actor, celebrity. How about your work? What do you think the worst part about being?
Well, worst part is that's a good question. Well, how about the instability of it financially? I guess is one. I mean, um, uh, it's the constant. Listen, no matter what. Okay, I know. Here's one thing that just kind of sucks about it. Unfortunately, and that I'm just saying, like, unfortunately, somebody. I'm not saying you can't create your own work, but somebody has to allow you to do it. Meaning, somebody has to allow you to be in the Broadway show. Somebody has to allow you to be in a film. Sure, if you're multi-zillionaire and you want to make your own film, you can do your own film. But I'm just saying that's the thing that's a little bit tough is that, you know, you have to, somebody has to allow you. So you're a little bit, unfortunately, you're relying on somebody else to kind of get you to a certain point. That's all I'm saying. I'm not, like I said, you can obviously create your own work. And what's great about technology today is think about you can make a film now. You can make your own film. It's like before you'd have to have money to buy film. Now, they're making films on their phones. So a lot of people there's a lot more you can do now, but
Yeah, so that's another thing about crying too. Like I like making films. And if I made films, I'm going to have a samurai. No, that's a bare naked lady song.
What kind of films do you like? I mean, do you like
the dramas?
Comedy? I mean,
like,
I do dramas too.
Well, this is what I do. It's basically when I'm watching a movie or a show or whatever, and I start to cry or about to cry, I would film it because I know I can use it for footage.
Now, do you cry? So here's my thing. When I'm by myself, totally could cry. But if I'm around other people, I'll be like, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. That's just how I am. How are you? Are you fine crying?
Yeah, I see a lot of movies and episodes and stuff where the person's actually, even the men are crying in front of and I'm like, I'm an actor and I'm standing in a room doing a scene with all these people watching and they tell me that I have to cry in a scene. I don't know if I could do that because it's been very rare that I actually cried in front of somebody. Maybe
that's what I mean. So when you say you're watching a movie and you're emotional and you cry, you're by yourself when you're watching.
I'm by myself, and then I would film it for footage so that I can add it to when I have to do a scene where I'm crying. Cool. I would just insert that as footage.
It's like you're like I got it. It's like you're
the only way I can cry if a TV show or movie makes me cry, I'm going to catch it on film.
That's good. Right. Never let a crying scene go to waste.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's basically it.
Yeah.
Well, crying, one of the things is, like I said, when you want to try to make yourself cry, they say the best thing is try to think of not crying. Okay. Now, there's certain techniques that you can use that I like to, the breathing in to get it up to get you, especially for TV and film, it's so different. Okay. And action. It's like, what are you going to, you gotta, but like I said, men, in real life, we tend to try to hold back. It's the holding back then that you want to play because we end up eventually breaking through that. You know, that's just
This is very interesting. I really appreciate the conversation.
yeah.
You can actually go all sorts of directions and that,
Yeah, I mean,
talking about celebrities and stuff. And my favorite celebrity is actually Christopher Walken,
yeah.
but
Oh,
I've
yes. Have you met him? Have you met him or?
no, the only celebrity I met was Martin Sheen.
And how was that? Because sometimes you get an idea and then you can ruin it if they're not
Well,
exactly.
no, Martin Sheen, this was during the time he was in Toronto filming The Believers. This was around the time I was like 20, 21 years old.
Yeah, believer.
And I had a photo taken of him and I together.
Uh-huh.
And he's just got the same, even when he was on that show where he was the president. I can't remember.
Yeah, West Wing.
Yeah,
The
West Wing.
Mhm.
He's the same character. Like I don't like, for instance, when I watch Face Off and I see John Travolta and
Mhm.
Nicolas Cage playing their respective parts. Any movie I see after with Nicolas Cage, I think he's the same Castor Troy character. He's
Right.
just in a different movie.
But have you seen the Peggy Sue Got Married though? That he's very different than that.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not.
almost good.
There's some movies like people say, "Oh, I love this movie. You got to see it." I watch
Yeah.
it. So, yeah, I give a movie 30 minutes before I turn it off.
Yeah, so then there's the actors who disappear, and those are really, like Gary Oldman. I mean, he'll just disappear into a character where you don't even know it's Gary Oldman. Those are the ones that are impressive.
Who would I say has a pretty good cry would be
Demi Moore. Demi Moore Ghost.
No. Demi Moore. Actually, Ghost was a sad movie. I didn't cry in that one, but Ghost was a sad movie. I can't remember who my favorite actress is that actually can cry on cue. Maybe Jessica Chastain. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah. Before we're going off in a tangent, you were telling me this is kind of interesting. I didn't know that if you might talking about your family here. You told me, like, give me a little bit about how your parents met.
Oh, my parents, that's funny. A lot of people don't even know how their parents met. My parents met, my mom was working at an ice cream shop, actually. My dad was in Chicago. She was anyway, my mom was in St. Louis getting her master's in social work. They got married. So my mom was a nun, by the way. She was
I can't believe that she was a nun. Like
she was, so when you go into the convent, they do 2-year vow, like a 6-year vow, and then lifetime.
And a Carmelite nun is 10-year vow.
What?
Carmelite nun?
Oh, I didn't know that. I forgot what.
Sister Act, the movie Sister Act.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
you have to be a Carmelite nun for 10 years. You have no access to your family for 10 years.
Yeah, there's different kinds of convents too. I think she was Dominican, and you got to get rid of your name. She was Sister Carmine. That's not her, and my mom's name is Rita, but
wow.
but she was like Maria in The Sound of Music. I always like to say, always getting into trouble. So I mean, and she was always, just kind of for being a nun, you're not supposed to be playing with the kids and jumping rope and all that stuff, So, but anyway, so she and my dad met, and my dad, I come from like kind of, I guess, a working class family, Arizona. I mean, but my father came to every baseball game. See, this is one of the things you realize when you're a kid, you kind of think everyone's parents are the same. My parents were pretty awesome, and I didn't really realize it until later in life. Because later in life, you go, whoa, really? Because you hear all these stories. My father, maybe my father didn't make $120,000 a year, but he never missed a baseball game in his life, and in my life. I mean, Those are things that you can't put a price on. And so, I mean, he did the typical, let's go play catch, taught me how to pitch, things like that. And that's not, guess what? Every kid doesn't have that. I mean, you think that maybe, but they don't. Now, my parents are no longer they're not together anymore. They got divorced, but it's so weird because my mom's been with the same person for 30 years and they all get along together. I mean, that's just, and so that's very
And she
cool.
never thought of going back to being a nun. Actually, you can't. I knew this guy, his wife died. He had 6 kids with her, and he decided to become a priest. So he was a priest. He was the priest of a church I attended for a bit. Well, didn't attend. I was actually there for something
I
totally
think
different.
I wonder if saw a news article on him or something because he
And
was
he
like
was
35 years or something. He was married
well.
or something, right?
He was a come father, of course. He was a priest,
Uh,
and they said that he can do the marriage seminars because he was married before.
I guess, yeah, my mom actually has been a marriage counselor. That's a really,
Oh, that's right, because she was
yeah.
married. What, for,
So
like
she said,
Catholic services, maybe?
no, her degree was, her degree was a master's in social work, but then she got certified as a, you know,
Wow.
therapist, and that's been always interesting because I, I just, I when you grow up with a mom that kind of teaches, well, she taught me things very early on. One of the things she was good at is letting me show my emotions. Like one time I remember I was upset with her. I was like 6 or 7, and I wrote her this really mean letter saying, "Don't talk to me in the morning when I wake up. You can say hi to my sister." We had a Native American girl who lived with us 9 months out of the year, so I call her my sister, and I said, "But don't talk to me." And then I signed it, "Hate Sean." You know, to this day she still has that letter. So I get up in the morning and
Nice.
she does exactly what I said. She doesn't talk to me. And of course, within 5 minutes, I'm starting to talk. And but another mom might have taken that and my son hates me. And no, she let me, you know, say what I want to say. And that's where I realized that was one of the things that she was good at. So if I had a tantrum, if we were in public, or like in a restaurant, I was throwing a tantrum, she wouldn't allow that. You're not going to ruin other people's time. But if I was by myself, she would just let me throw it and go ahead, go throw it. And then, they're not looking and you figure it out. So that's, kind of how it
What
was.
did your dad do for a living?
He was an electrician. He worked for Hughes
Well,
Aircraft
that
for
was
about
shocking. Just
yeah,
kidding.
he's like yeah, boom, boom. Yeah, he was an electrician. So, and what's funny, my dad was a Republican, my mom was Democrat, and
Uh-oh.
and that so they never voted. They said we just cancel each other out.
That's funny. You
That's
know
what
what they
they
say about what has Beethoven been doing the last 200 years? Decomposing.
decomposing. But yeah.
But
Um,
do you have any brothers or sisters or siblings that are
okay,
musically
so
inclined or?
no. I'm an only child
Mhm.
technically, but like I said, since my mom was a social worker, we had become legal guardians with a Native American girl who stayed with us 9 months out of the year. She would go back to the reservation 3 months. So I would go to the
Nice.
reservation many, many times. So I understand, I've seen how,
That's
no one's got
awesome.
it worse than the Native Americans in this
Mhm.
country because it's very, you know, a depressed area sometimes. But so I technically, so I like to say, even though I'm an only child, I like to remind people that I did have a sister because there's a stereotype. Oh, you're only child. It's all about you. I'm like, no, I technically had to share. But no, my mom would have been a little bit musically inclined, actually. In fact, I remember, and she was my kindergarten teacher too. That's another thing, probably. She was my kindergarten teacher, and yeah, we would sing songs, and that's maybe how I learned to sing first because she could sing a little bit, Oh, my dad played the accordion. That's it. Because
Oh, yes.
they couldn't have a piano in it when he was a kid
My
because
pastor played the
yeah.
accordion. Yeah.
So he did that. So I guess that's the most musically inclined would have been from that. Because
Well,
like
that's
I said,
awesome.
my parents didn't go, "Hey, do you want to take ballet class?" No, they said, "Do you want to play baseball?" Okay. So I have a lot of, like, I look at my life and I have a lot of, what do you call it, dichotomies, meaning I was a jock and then I was in theater at the same time. Like, either play baseball, soccer, football, theater, at some point I had to make a decision, but
That's
that's just,
awesome.
yeah. So,
So let's get into some questions, question
okay.
and answer. So we have a question
Uh-huh.
from Donna, and she asks, besides Broadway musicals, what music genres do you like to sing?
Rock, I think. Rock. So, like, I like Bon Jovi and yeah, I'm kind of the 80s, something about the 80s I just like, Yeah. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Somebody here says, describe your favorite. Oh, are there any musicians who inspire you, and what qualities do you admire about them? And
Okay.
and also, I want to play your video. I want you to
Okay.
tell the the audience about what's coming up? You have a song that just been released on Spotify?
Yeah, I was just so I do cover songs of musicals, and this one is because West Side Story came. I don't know if have you seen West Side Story, the movie, the newest?
Yeah, I haven't seen the
Yeah,
new one, but I like the old one.
yeah. So because of that, I decided to put out Maria, and that actually released today on Spotify, Apple Music.
Okay, and we'll put it in the
Will.
description of the YouTube video.
So
But
what was the question again? It was,
well, did you want me to play the
inspired me.
video? Or did you want to do it after?
Oh no, I was just wondering what the question was.
Yeah, the question was: Are there any musicians who inspire you, and what qualities do you admire about them?
So I always like to joke that I learned from singing Michael Jackson. Michael Crawford was somebody I really
love
liked.
Michael Crawford.
Yeah.
Some others
so a
do
lot of
have him,
times,
yeah.
So a lot of times, I was always good at like being able to imitate or make sounds, and I always tell people, imitate people who you like, imitate them. Eventually, you can figure out your own voice, but at first, try. But I like Cole Wilkinson. Cole Wilkinson's one. Michael Crawford. These are, probably date me. I actually met Cole Wilkinson once, but and
he was the original Phantom, wasn't he?
Michael Crawford.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Cole Wilkinson, I was actually supposed to be, and then I actually saw Cole Wilkinson in Phantom of the Opera, though. It was good. And then probably, anyone who has what's his name? Ted Neely and
Ted. Oh yeah, the one.
Yeah,
Ted Neely.
Superstar.
Yeah, Superstar. Did you know?
I saw him too.
Well, Donna asked if you met Michael Crawford in person.
No, I haven't. I have not. No. What was the last thing he did? Dance of the Vampires, I think, in New York. But no, I've never met him. Only Cole Wilkinson. And who else? I mean, anyone else? Oh, I know who I liked, but I got to hang out with him. Actually, was Rick. I was because oh my God, I can't. Rex Smith. Rex Smith. He did Pirates of Penzance on Broadway. Like
Rex Smith
and the movie.
He was in the band in the 70s, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had that song. I forgot what it's called, but it was a song. Yeah, he was like a teen kind of.
Yeah, but I was going to talk to you about Ted Neely. Did you know that Jesus was crucified at 33? Well, Ted Neely played Jesus Christ till he was 63 before he retired.
And he was 23 when he started, right? Yeah,
and he retired at 63. I'm like, he's the only Jesus who retired at 63.
Yeah, and that was recently because he could still hear him. It must have been recently because he was doing it for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know if he answered that part of that other question I mentioned.
About inspiring? I know you.
Yeah. What are there any musicians who inspire you? But what qualities do you admire about them? I think you didn't answer that part.
Oh, you know what? A lot of times, sometimes it's just can be as simple as like, wow, how they hit those notes. I mean, sometimes it's just like, wow,
the F5.
Yeah, you're just blown away. But here's what I know it is. I like Air Supply, right? And it was kind of fun because the other day I was watching an old program and his songs are hard, like Making Love Out of Nothing at All.
Yeah, Air Supply was the first. What's the first Smule songs I opened with? Yeah, lying in bed with my head to the phone. Yeah. Hey, I should just do one podcast while I'm singing to my guests. How about that?
Yeah, I actually saw them, but they were it was like one of the what's the song Making Love Out of Nothing where he said no. I mean, it's way up there on your break. Well, I'm watching the show and he totally cracks, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh. meaning, they're normal. It's not even the person who sung it is actually cracked, and so it's kind of. I mean, it just made it feel more like we forget that even professionals.
Yeah, what's his name?
Crack and stuff.
Yeah, Russell Hitchcock, Graham Russell.
Yeah.
Robin LeMuser, Ralph Cooper. I don't
know. They sing. Those guys sing. I mean, he sings. Those songs are just set really high. It's not even just like hitting a high note. It's more about like being just up, in the area.
What do you think of REO Speedwagon?
Yeah, I like them. Yeah, I like pretty much almost any.
Okay.
There's something about '80s bands, the way they're like Steve Perry, man. Jeez, he just, that's someone who I like, Steve Perry.
Someone wanted to ask, what's your process for dealing with performance anxiety?
Ooh. That's a good one because because you know what, practice. I get it really is. So obviously, the more you do a show, the easier it gets. And I do. It's good to have some nerves still, but it's one of those things where it's like it can mess up. That's why I always joke. I kind of say, yeah, if I got in business, can I bring my iPad and my Smule and then I could do fine. But when you're in front of people, there's something a little bit nerve wracking. So I always suggest, honestly, because this is what I do, is I started going out to karaoke places. Just go out to, like, this is how to build up. See, what you almost have to get over in a weird way is whatever fear you have. Oh, I'm fearing of not cracking or something. You know what? It's almost better to just have cracked and messed up and screwed up and realized, oh, I survived. It's not, what I'm saying? It's like nothing. I'm still here. Because Donny Osmond had anxiety issues.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and his wife said to him, "Go out there one performance and I want you to just be mediocre. Just go out there and just be mediocre. Not instead of trying to be perfect. He said, just be mediocre." And he went out there and what he did was mediocre, and he was, they loved him. So my point is, it was all just the.
Yeah, I was a big Donny Osmond fan. It's like my favorite song was "Go Away, Little Girl." Now when he sings it today, it's like "Go Away." It's not the same.
Yeah. I know. Even the Air Supply, they kind of lower it because look at Bon Jovi. I always look at living on a Prayer. I think he must think to himself, "Why did I write that song so high?" I mean, I know because he doesn't even sing the song anymore.
Do you think, if Elvis Presley was still alive, do you think he would sound the same as he sang like The Great Pretender and Can't Help Falling in Love, the same as he did 40 years earlier?
Because when you think about it, doesn't he have the most unique voice you've ever heard? When you think about it, no one ever sings like Elvis. So are you saying?
But if he was still alive at 80 or 85,
would he still be singing the way he did, or?
Like, if he was still alive, you think that if he was doing a concert at, how old is he now? Almost 80? Would he sound the same?
No. Your voice, well, like, for example, for men, right? I mean, even if they won't even allow you into the Met or whatever until you're like 30 for a tenor. I mean, there's certain area your voice just gets better, as for men at least in their 30s, for tenors,
Well, Donna says that Elvis was already faltering before he died, so maybe she's right. Maybe to sing The Great Pretender at like 70 or 80 might not have been a good idea. But someone here named Francisca says hi.
Hi. She's a singer. She's an opera singer, right? Yeah, that's her.
Really?
Yeah, I think that is, yeah. Yes, you should. Yeah.
We'd love to have you on our podcast.
Yeah.
What is she? That's awesome. We'll have to talk about that later.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Francisca.
Well, it's funny because there was a couple people I was going to suggest that you.
That's awesome. Also, another thing. Yeah. Tell us about Maria. Why I
sang that one?
Why did you sing Maria? Why not Allison or Amanda?
One is. Well, yeah, right. Exactly. Well,
no, really, Amanda from Boston is a good song. And Allison, Elvis Costello. So why did you choose Maria? Oh, because it's a musical, right?
Yeah, well, it is my favorite musical. I've done the show twice, but I didn't. I was a dancer, and I could do that show 8 shows a week. I loved it so much. And the thing about West Side Story that people don't understand is West Side Story was the first time they took a musical and they used the dancing to propel the story. I mean, when you're doing cool, like when you're doing that number, they're all high-headed, and the whole number is choreographed so that you're exhausted by the end of that, and you're like, boy, crazy. I mean, it's built into the choreography, and that's what was so great about it. I mean, because before West Side Story, it was kind of like scenes, sing a number, okay, now dance number, just to dance. This was using dance to actually tell the story. That's why, and the music, I just love the music.
Well, I might open up a version on Smule, I think. So let's play this and give people a general idea.
Me, Maria, I've just kissed a girl named Maria, and suddenly I found how wonderful a sound can be. Maria, say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. Maria, I'll never stop saying Maria, 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 say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. Maria, I'll never stop saying Maria.
That's awesome.
You know that there's two actually different there's two choices you can make on those notes, which is very interesting. But you know, when I was younger, I
Good.
couldn't do it. So yeah.
But that's awesome. So we would expect that. Yes, Donna says bravo. And I say
Thank you.
bravo as well.
Oh.
Bravo.
Thanks.
But so two more questions, if you don't
Mhm.
mind. What would you do if your audience looked tired or bored during your performance?
You know, I've auditioned sometimes where where the auditioners are like, you know, well, I mean, I guess I wouldn't. I guess what we're talking about is we're talking in a musical because I'm not going to notice that. I mean, obviously, you know, because I'm focused on, you know, what I need to focus on. Mm, I'm just, you know what? I don't know. You know what? It's, I mean, I don't know. So the way one of the things that is for acting, I always say my job as an actor isn't to really go on the most emotional journey. It really isn't. You know, that's why it's really for my job is to make the audience go through an emotional journey. So, I don't know if I saw their board. I don't know. I really don't know. Hopefully that will not happen. You know, but that's why in drama, you know, if it's silence is in the audience, then you know you're doing okay because usually
Well,
when you
tell us
start
a-
here,
Well, I've been staring at that little studio booth that you have there. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
yeah. So I'm actually freezing right now because I got
Uh-oh.
air. Because I have air conditioning.
Okay.
Which, you know, when I record, I turn it off. But my friend built this for me, and you know, it's in my. I have a 1-bedroom apartment. It's in my apartment, in the bedroom, and then my bed's over there. And I don't know. It's I originally built it to keep from bothering my neighbor. That's originally why I did it. But if I could go back, I'd probably make it a little bit more to keep sound out because it's still New York City. So if a siren goes off, I still kind of got to, you know.
Oh,
stop
wow.
it.
Okay.
But it's still, you know. And I wish you could see the outside's kind of cool actually because he made it all this really nice thing. And
Yeah, isn't that sealed enough that I guess water can't get through?
yeah. So the rule of thumb is when you're creating a booth, pretend you're filling it up with water, and you don't want water to get out. So that means everything. So the corners need to have this special tape that go into the corners. You know, even outlets or something, they should be sealed. So anytime there's any sound gets out, will be through any kind of holes. You know, and also I have a lot of so if you have hard surfaces, that's not usually. Ideally, you shouldn't have a lot of hard surface. So even though my computer's here, those are things that sound bounces off of. You know, if I pull this down, I have a green screen here. You know.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if you take the green screen, then that actually helps with sound too. You know. So.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I got to get myself a green screen because StreamYard, as I mentioned before, they have an excellent thing of like where you can do like
we put a virtual
background.
background. Yeah, in fact, I noticed that
If you don't use a green screen, then when you're moving around, it looks like your arms disappear and everything.
Right.
Green screen will make it look like your background is actually. So I got to get
Yes,
myself a green
yes, I
screen.
use this.
Yeah. I got to get a green screen. Then I don't have to care about my background. I can be doing this in the bathroom and make it look like I'm in the king's living room or
Well,
something.
I wish you could do it like on Smule. I was always thinking I've tried to tell them that if there's a way to use green screen would be good. You know. Hey, is there anything? So on Smule, was there something you wish they would do at all? And if you ever tried, because they,
Yeah,
they
get
come
rid
up.
of those awful filters. Put it back to the days 2016, and
Well, I mean,
don't make it ability so that I can have 2 or 3 accounts on the same thing. So if I wanted to,
yeah,
like,
without having to uninstall,
yeah,
I wish they would just allow the tracks of the vocals to be separate, so that you can control each, especially if you're doing group
they
numbers.
used to, like they used to.
Well, where it's not melded to the music yet, though. See, I'd like to be able to download the music or download just the vocal.
I thought there
track.
was one update where you could do that. Actually, what I wanted to do is be able to, like this actually allows you to download the audio as well if you want to do an audio only podcast, which is good.
Oh, right, yeah.
But
Well, so BandLab is.
I want to get into doing the GarageBand because apparently you can do almost every instrument and you can actually create your own band and do
Oh
your
yeah,
own
let's.
music.
So I have Logic Pro, and that's.
Yeah, I want to get that.
Mhm.
I want to start composing music, believe it or not, at my age. Yes.
No, I mean,
I had something to say too. Yes. What kind of? For one thing, I wanted to ask you something, but I also want to talk. What's that microphone there?
this
What
one.
name is?
It's the
Is that the
Audio.
Shure? Is that
No, it's no, Audio Technica. What is it? I can't remember. The Audio Technica 420 something. It's about I think it's a pretty popular microphone. It's a what's it, the condenser one? Yeah, and so the sound goes. There's different mics, so this one goes directly in. It has you can switch it off to give you 10 decibels less. So if I turn it, depends on what you want. So if you're doing like a rock song, you might have it on 10 decibels less. So that
I have a pop filter as well, and I've seen people use this, but they also have the pop filter in front, which I think is useless.
Yeah, you know what?
This is a pop filter.
Right.
So you don't need this, but they have it like this, which is kind of useless.
Now, what's important? What I have here is these are Shure, SHURE. These are
I know about
mics.
Yeah,
These
they go
things have
behind your ear. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing about them is they give you a real true sound. That means not great listening sound. That we're talking about true sound, meaning, in other words, if you sound good in these, you'll sound really good when you put on the nice, with bass and all this. Yeah. But it's you can kind of hear yourself at its purest, which means you got to be. Nothing's being filtered or anything. But
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, and how about the on the sides there? What do you call those?
Oh, so these are this. Wait, you mean these ones?
Oh yeah, tell me about those ones.
Oh, these are these were the what were they called again? It's funny, I don't remember the name. It was these were from who? Oh, I think Ken Tamplin recommended them. That's why I ended up getting them. So like a lot of times I'll record with these. So when I record, what reason why I like these two is because they go behind the ear, know. And then when I'm done, when I want to listen back, then I'll usually put these.
Well, I could literally rearrange my apartment to put a little spot there so I can put that box recording studio you said that was like a phone booth type thing.
Yeah.
Get a microphone like that, or maybe stick with one like this. And then I need a headphones to make me look like a real musician.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask, what do you call those things with the rivets, like the
I mean this?
Yeah.
This is audio foam. Yes, it's like audio foam. Audio.
It's to drown. It's like to.
Yeah, it absorbs the sound. So
the
thing. So obviously you want to try to keep sound out and sound in. So that's why you don't really want to have a lot of hard surfaces. So like even having computers, because it bounces. So these things basically absorb the sound, so that because like when the more you don't want to have, like, how we like to sing in our shower. Yeah, but that's not good for recording, because it's too much bouncing around and stuff. You basically want a dead environment. Think about a dead sound environment in your booth.
That's what I want to get, because once I get that, I feel that my voice might sound more tender and better than it does when I'm trying. I want to belt out a song, but I got people above me, 2 people beside me, below me, and I really want to just, unless I go and spend $80 an hour to go to a recording studio every weekend and just sing a few songs and get a CD out there, or have a single or something on Spotify, or take my 4 songs I wrote like 32 years ago and get them like updated.
Right. Do you play it? What did I ask you? Did you play an instrument or?
You're gonna find this kind of funny, but I wanted to take up the violin.
No, that's a tough one to learn, I think,
It is.
because when you're first learning it, it just sounds like yeah, right, exactly.
A cat in here.
Yeah.
But we had a beautiful, wonderful violinist on just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh
And
yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah.
She's a beautiful, beautiful player. But I'm talking about when you first start playing the violin, you're gonna sound like you're killing a cat. I told her that.
Right. Yeah.
But no, you're gonna find this funny. But the very first instrument, which was the craze back in public school, was something called the kazoo. You ever heard of the kazoo?
No, I have not.
Well,
No.
it's an instrument that looks like a submarine. It's got like a hole in the top,
Got
and it's
it.
got a little thin piece of tissue paper.
Okay.
And when you blow through it, you have to like hum through it like.
So we had the recorder. That's
I was actually I went to I learned the recorder as well.
Yeah, hot cross buns.
The recorder and the ocarina is another instrument.
I only know that from Zelda, but that's yeah.
But the only instrument that I play is my voice, and I want to update that because that's
Yeah, I mean-
important. I want to learn Nessun Dorma.
Yep. Just listen to I always say listen to who you want to sound like, and just
Yeah, and Donna
Start,
says she just serenade my neighbors with open windows in the summer, and that's with a restaurant next door.
well, you can always sing into a pillow if you want to scream or something.
Yeah, then
That's well, New York. Hey, listen, in New York, people do all sorts of things because of the neighbors, where if they have to do voice lesson or warm up, they'll sing into a pillow.
I'd love to do a flash mob.
Oh yeah.
Just get people together and do a flash mob. But I've heard of couples meeting over music. Like we had a couple just on a few months ago, I believe, and they were singing waiters, and they met and they got married, and all they do is they sing. And then you have another group that I had. They're from Israel. They're called Bella Voce. No, not Bella Voce. That's 2 girls. What? Volcanova consists of Gilad and Natalia. And they're both married, and his wife is their manager, but they're really good. That was a great.
There's been a couple of people that I know that got met on Smule too.
I know one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I know one of them actually.
And have you done any of the meetups ever?
I wanted to do the meetup of the summer of 2016, but I don't know what the reason is I didn't go. But I could have. I think it was they were meeting in Nashville, and I missed out on a good opportunity.
What's funny is here's what's interesting. I don't really know that many New Yorkers, honestly. It's so weird. I don't know why. I don't like most. You would think New York City would have more people on Smule, but I just, it's weird. I was just wondering if you knew any other New Yorkers. So, there's not one person where I go like, oh, you live in New York? Okay.
No, Donna, the meetup that wasn't in New York, it was in Nashville.
Right. So. No, there was one in New York, I guess, apparently.
There was?
There was a little while ago, but I haven't met anyone or can think of anyone that's actually living in New York.
Yeah, I wanted to go to at least one, and I got a Smule t-shirt because you only get a Smule t-shirt if you're going to a meetup. So I was going to go to one Nashville, whatever, and something happened and I couldn't go. But I got the t-shirt and I wore it, but it's so poorly made that it lasted 8, 9 times in the wash, and then I had to like throw it out or something.
Well, they need to make a Smule T-shirt where it's reversed because it gets reversed on the screen. I mean, when you're singing.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
remember when I was smooling with someone for a joke, I said, "Why do you have a T-shirt that says Elums on it?"
Yeah.
And they go, "Elums, yeah. What does
Yeah.
Elums mean?" And they looked at me like I was weird. The
Right.
same thing happened at Christmas time. I was sitting at a chicken restaurant, and during Christmas it says Noel.
All right.
And I asked the waitress or the server, sorry. I asked her, who's Leon? Why do you have Leon? She goes, I don't know, sir.
Well, that's why
I'm gonna
ambulances
ask
have
my
their thing on.
manager.
That's why ambulances have it on backwards, right? When you look in
Yeah.
the mirror, so it's forward.
I know, but
Yeah.
they couldn't understand. I said Elums T-shirt. What do you mean,
Elums.
Elums, yeah. But they
Yeah.
should actually. They never thought of having Smule backwards.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
forget
think-
what the reason why Smule is even named Smule. Because the app isn't called Smule, right?
No, it's called
Oh, Sing.
Smule Sing. Yeah,
Is it called Smule Sing or just Sing?
Smule Sing. Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, I used to be. I was on a Smule app before Sing. It was called Songnify.
okay.
So what it
I
is?
did auto rap. That's how I knew about Smule.
Well, Songnify. What do you do? Is like I took the whole entire conversation that Forrest Gump had on the
Mm-hmm.
on the bench with the nurse,
Mm-hmm.
and all you do is you take Songnify and you just quote the whole thing, and it turns it into a song. It was actually pretty interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
then-
auto rap was basically if we were talking right now, it'll take what we're talking and turn it
Yeah,
into rap.
but
right?
I never even got that. But I found Smule in June of 2015, and I enjoyed it. And I made lots
Yeah.
of friends, and a lot of
I
the
did
friends
too.
I made out of Smule, and we would come
Yeah.
first on Messenger and Facebook, and we got a little group going. And
I
we
mean,
opened
I've
up-
heard all sorts of crazy stories that can go on, though. I mean, I've
Oh, I
heard
know.
that. Yeah.
I know a
Uh,
couple who met on Smule and got married. I know a few of them actually.
Yeah.
I had 2 relationships on Smule, and if you're listening, girls, yeah, you're still in my heart. But I can't give you their names, sorry. But they were excellent. I love them. And then yeah, but right now Smule just going through so much of an update.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
But let's
yeah.
ask.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, Sean, you're
go
excellent. I interrupted you.
No. Go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, I'm going to ask 2 more questions, and then we're going to end this stream. Okay. So, if you could open a show for any artist, who would it be?
Oh, you mean like like opening for a band or something? Like
Yeah.
Who would it be? Good question. That's a good question. Who would it be? Ooh, I always say his name wrong. Was it Ramen? You know who I'm talking about? Ramen Kamerlu. He's was a
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I know he's a tenor. He sang "Bring Me Home." He's one of them that's saying "Bring Me Home."
I like. Yeah, to me, like that's probably someone
Yeah.
like that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, someone that like I always I always want to. It's kind of like when I was in baseball, right? You always play better when you're in the all-star team. You always play better. Why? Because they were all. So I always want to. I want to be with someone that that is better than me. you know what I'm saying? Like is really so because it would just up my game. And I like to be, with people who, if I had that, who I want to sound like, kind of, I guess is the way,
Well, Sean, this is I love your answers, and I just 3 questions, but I can only want to ask you one of them, and I want to know which one is the best one here.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's oh, okay. What's next for you?
Oh, good. Well, my next thing, I'm going to become a voice teacher, I think, because I'm doing this. I'm doing the New York Vocal Coaching Academy. It's in New York City. They have this 12. So I'm doing it over the summer because for me, um, I sometimes don't know the terminology. I'll know how to do it, but I'll not know how to explain it per se. So that's why I'm taking kind of this course, just kind of learn how to actually teach. And plus also I think I'll become a better singer because like I said, if you want to master something, teach it. And so, yeah. And I just want to also see, see if I can really help somebody go from A to B kind of, so that's the next thing is probably going into that
Why
direction.
not?
And then of course, in New York, I audition for stuff still if I have to. I mean, if I can. I think I auditioned for well, now they're starting to do real auditions again, but before there were these self-tape auditions. I actually have, it's funny. If someone wants to offer me a Broadway, sure, I'll do it. I just don't know if I can go back to the getting up at 5 a.m, waiting in line. That's kind of tougher as you're older. You kind of, but of course I would do it if someone want to offer me a job. But lately though, it's been cool with these self tapes because you can just do it at home, send it in, and if they like you,
Yeah.
So
The next thing for me would be to get out there and perform some way. I performed before. We have a big venue here, and I performed.
oh yeah.
It's called the Living Arts Center. I performed there once, and I had. I really enjoyed it. Actually, it was. I want to. I know COVID will always be here. I know, but
Well,
still.
it is a little nerve. I'm a little I don't even know if so it's been so long since I've auditioned for something really. I don't even know how do they do it. I mean, if 2003 was the last time I did. So do people bring sheet music anymore? Like actual sheet music, or do they bring their iPad? That's what I.
Well, in churches, when you're singing hymns or singing songs, they actually have it on the screen. In some shows, so like for instance, I don't think Mick Jagger does this, but a few musicians, they just can't remember a lot of their songs, so they have what is called a prompter
Yeah.
in front, and they can look at that with the lyrics on it and sing it. Like Billy Joel, for instance, I think him and Elton John or something, they need this because they're in their 70s now. Billy Joel just turned 71, I think, this year.
See, I could go to an audition tomorrow. Like if I had to go to audition tomorrow, it's like, sure, can I take my iPad and sing along? I mean, sure, I could do that, but I don't know if I could.
Well, I actually did have in attendance where there was a band. There was a woman and 2 or 3 guys playing their instruments, and she had an iPad, and it was connected to her mic stand.
Yep.
And it was like this, and when you sing, all you do is you look down at the
Right.
So I could do that, but they prefer you to learn these songs. And
no, I understand. Yeah.
like I knew when I was younger, I knew every single Billy Joel song.
Yeah.
I could be the Billy Joel impersonator, and I could sing every song. And then now out of the 45, 50, 60 songs, I only know like 4 now.
Yeah. Well, really quick, a quick story. One time I was doing understudy of Jesus Christ and Judas, and I didn't ever. I knew the whole show from singing along with and I went on the Jesus Went Down, and I hadn't, and I literally, I'd watched the show, but I just got on stage, and basically it was like I was being led around on stage because I didn't know where to go, but I knew the whole show just from knowing the show.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised what you can do when if you.
It's sort of like watching a movie for the first time and the hero gets killed, and you're thinking watching it the second time the hero doesn't get killed. It doesn't work like that.
I thought when that particular experience was funny because one day I was Jesus, and then literally 2 days later I was the other side. It's kind of like you're like,
But thank you, Sean, for everything.
Right.
And before we end this, I want to say, everyone, please subscribe to this channel for more content. You would not believe who we have in May. I'm so happy, just so busy, and I think at one point I'm going to have to hire people to help me with this because there's a lot of people I love having on the podcast. And including your friend there too that just said hi to you.
Yeah. There's a couple of people that I wanted to talk
But
about.
I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast, and
Thank you for having me. Thank you for.
You're real welcome. So just wait around for a bit.
Yep.
going to close this,
Okay.
and I'll
Can I
talk to you.
start singing again? Can I start singing? Get back to what I was doing.
Yeah. I'll just. Oh wait, somebody has a comment here. Great show, guys. Thank you, Donna. I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Donna.
Okay, so we're gonna end this.
Okay, bye.
And don't forget, Francesca, to contact
Yes.
me. Ha ha ha. Yes, I actually want you on my podcast because
Yeah.
excellent. But anyway, so
Really
thank you,
well.
Sean, very much.
Mhm.
So let me end the stream and then we'll talk. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, everyone. Wave, everyone. So Sean can get back to us
All right.
singing.
Yeah. Okay. See you. Bye.
So yeah, I gotta put up my
What's up?
sorry,